How's it going, guys? It's Aus LTD, or David, whatever you prefer, and today I'm going to bring you a Turmoil Rune Pure / Berserker Pure guide. Now, I'm going to try to go into as much depth as possible, so if you're looking to become this type of build, I would advise listening to this guide. So I guess I'll cover the first question: what is a Rune Pure? It's how it sounds. A Rune Pure, you have the ability to wear runes, so 40 defense, or a Berserker Pure, 45 defense, and you can wear a Berserker helm. Now, making this build is not as easy as it sounds. You could easily go and train yourself to 40 defense on your own, but there's a lot more to it, and that's basically where I come in. Okay, so let's say you've just made a new account on Runescape, you just logged in, and you're wondering what to do. How do you make a Turmoil Rune Pure? Well, the first thing you gotta think about is quests, and I know it's not the best thing to think about when you first start a new account, but it's something you're gonna have to get done, so you may as well start from the beginning. This is the main problem that people have. This is why people are so skeptical whether to transition into this type of account, because of the amount of quests you have to do. You have to be prepared to do 50 to 60 plus quests to get your account how you want it. So if you're not willing to put one solid month of work into one account, then this build isn't for you, I'm sorry. I just thought I'd give you guys a few little pros and cons. This is my personal experience with this type of account, so I guess I'll just get into it. Of course, one pro is, like any other pure, you being low combat with high attack and strength, getting that advantage over the other types of accounts. The higher stat boosting gear, such as a Rune Defender, which gives a +5 strength bonus, along with a nice attack bonus, which will help you hit more consistently. The Fighter's Torso, which you can get from Barbarian Assault, which gives a +4 strength bonus, along with some attack bonus. Or the Barrow's Gloves, which give a +12 strength bonus and a lot of attack bonus as well, but I'll go into depth a little later on in the guide on how to get these gloves. Another pro would be Vengeance, which requires 94 magic, but this is another thing that's really significant with this account, because you can be such low combat with such a good spell. It's such a good spell that can deal high amounts of damage when used correctly. Alright, a few little cons that I found quite annoying are having to get back your Rune Defenders after dying. It can get really boring and repetitive going back to the Warriors Guild, killing Cyclopses and trying to get drops, but it's something you're going to have to commit to if you want to be this build. Another annoying thing about this build is that you will get comboed a lot, but having your strength and attack higher will make up for that, obviously. There isn't a whole lot of cons, but one that I've found personally is that this account is becoming increasingly popular. If you go out in the wilderness, you'll see that heaps of accounts have this same type of build, and I feel that it's ruining the purpose of becoming one, because originally you made this account to be superior towards the other accounts. I know making a full guide for it really isn't helping the problem, but a lot of people have been requesting it. Alright, so we'll move away from all the pros and cons and now move on to the beginning of your account. Quest your stats 100%. I'm going to be reminding you guys throughout the guide to do this, because if you don't, your account won't be perfect and you'll regret not doing the way I told you to do it. From the point you make a new account and leave Explorer Jack's house, you want to go ahead and buy some armor from the Grand Exchange and train your attack and strength to 20 or 30. Why do you want to train your attack from 20 to 30? A lot of the quests that I'll be announcing soon will require you to kill a boss, so you want to have some sort of attack and strength to defend yourself. Also, if you wanted to go ahead and train your range or mage to 30 plus, that would help out a lot because you could safe spot bosses and it just makes everything a lot nicer and smoother. I'm going to remind you again, the reason why you're doing all these quests is to eventually get yourself 176 quest points, which is required to finish Recipe for Disaster, which does in fact unlock you your Barrow's Gloves or Coloromancer Gloves 10. Alright, here's a list of all the major attack quests that give the most experience. You definitely want to take the time to write these down or put them into your notes on RuneScape, so if you ever finish a quest you can tick it off, or on RuneScape you can color it green, which symbolizes that you finished it. That's just my way of doing it, and I feel it keeps you very organized, and you need to be organized when you're making this build, because you need to know exactly what you're doing, and you can't just be there going, no, I don't know what to do. What do I do now? I have a few other additional attack quests that you could do, which really aren't required, but you may as well get them out of the way because, again, they do give you quest points. And as I said before, you need 176, so do as many quests as possible. So I would definitely recommend doing these as well. Alright, so assuming all those attack quests were done, and you started at 20 attack, which is the total of 4,470 experience, all those attack XP rewarding quests would have got you 48 to 49 attack. Now this is perfect because now you can choose whether you want to stay 50 attack and be a G-Mauler, or you want to go ahead and train yourself to 60 on your own. Again, you can choose whatever type of build you want. 60 attack, there's 75 attack, 70 attack, but I wouldn't recommend staying 70 because you're going to be using a whip, or you could use a Sara sword, but using a whip, it does train attack, so you're going to get it up eventually. 75 attack, 80 attack, 80 attack for chaotics, of course that requires a lot more work because you'll need 80 dungeoneering, or you can just get anywhere plus that. Doesn't it feel so much better having all those attack quests done and then having the freedom to choose your own build? I think it feels fantastic. Alright, well the attack stuff is out of the way. Now what you want to be focusing on next is prayer. Prayer is probably the least important out of all of this because you will be getting 95 eventually, so these quests won't really matter as much, but the quest points that are rewarded from the quests are what you're after. You guys are going to be so sick of the word quest points after this guide, I'm telling you. But some of these quests do actually unlock things. For example, Recruitment Drive, which does unlock the Initiate Armor, which is really nice prayer bonus and is really important if you're doing certain activities such as Jad, which you will need to conserve your prayer points. There are a lot more quests that do train prayer, but again, if you're going for 95, you won't need it. If you're looking to stay under 52, I would recommend going into prayer a bit more and finding out which quests train prayer, because you're going to want to know that. You're going to want to unlock as much quest points again. Alright, we're now coming into the most important part of this guide, which is questing or defense. Now, if you come this far, you don't want to screw this up, so try to take into account what I'm trying to say here. If you're aiming for a 40 defense Turmoil Rune Pure, then these 6 quests are extremely important because these are the quests that will get you 40 defense exactly. Now, to get exactly on 40, you have to start questing your defense at 1 XP. You can maybe get in an extra 1k XP before you start training it, but you're cutting it very slim, because when you are 40 defense, you're roughly 3k experience off the next level. So you want to be careful with your attack styles. Always check that it's on either accurate or aggressive. If it's on defense, you're kind of screwed. Alright, you're now 40 defense, and I know it's a lot easier said than done, but I've done it a good 4 times now, so I've had my fair share of pain. Now, this is also a Berserker Pure guide, so 40 or 45 defense. Now, if you're aiming for 45 defense, there's another 4 additional quests that you'll have to do, well, that are definitely recommended. Because let's just say if you got 45, you'd want all the best things from getting those 5 extra levels. For example, the hand cannon, which is something you really want to consider if you're going from 40 to 45 defense. You can get all this stuff at 42 defense, but you'll have to complete it between a rock, which is an extra 5,000 defense XP. This is my personal opinion. I'm sure all you guys have your own opinions, but I think it's either 40 defense or 45. Because at 45 you unlock all the Fremennik kind of gear, all the helmets, and Void, and a hand cannon, and at 42 you only be able to get the hand cannon and the Void, so I think it's worth getting 45 just for the Fremennik helms, because the Berserker helm does give an extra 3 strength bonus, which will enhance your hits when player versus playering. Alright, those are all the quests regarding your combat stats out of the way. Now it's all about getting the 176 quest points for the Barrow's Gloves and finishing Recipe for Disaster. Now I've made 4 different Berserker Pures, and I feel that the best method of getting the 176 quest points is going onto a quest site and finding all the easiest quests that give the most quest points and doing them first. In doing so, it'll minimize the amount of quests you have to go. And don't forget to finish all the free-to-play quests, because those do give a lot when they're all finished. A few last defense tips: Olaf's quest and Holy Grail. These are 2 quests that do give a lot of defense XP as a reward, but they're not needed at all, so don't bother doing them. I get a lot of questions of people saying, should I do these too? No, don't do them. Also, the Monkey Madness experience that you get at the end by talking to Darrow and accepting, you only get the experience if you accept Darrow's proposal to help you train. Do not accept that, because it will get you over your defense that you want to keep. Alright, moving on to the next part of this guide, how to actually get Ancient Curses. There's only 4 major quests that you need to complete to actually unlock curses, but within those quests there are a lot of other quests that you need to complete, and I'll quickly break them down for you. We have Temple at Centiston, which is the main quest, which will actually unlock the curses. There's Desert Treasure, Devious Mines, and Curse of Arrow. First we'll have a look at Desert Treasure, because this is a quest that people generally do before they start transitioning into a Turmoil Rune Pure. So beneath Desert Treasure are a whole bunch of quests that you have to complete before you actually do the quest itself. So if you haven't done them, make sure you have them written down and do them in time. Also, if I'm going too fast, feel free to pause the video at any time. Nothing stopping you from doing that, just saying. Alright, next we'll look at Devious Mines. You look at the guide and it's such an easy quest. It only has like roughly 10 steps, but all the quests building up to it is what's a pain. So if you look underneath, there's a lot of sub-quests that you need to do beforehand. So again, write them down and remind yourself what you have and haven't done. Alright, Curse of Arrow is the big one. There are so many quest requirements for this quest, and you'll feel so much better when you get it all done. So take the time to have a nice look at them. Now during the Missing My Mummy quest, you'll actually have to restore the mummy that you're actually rebuilding to 100%. Now, I would advise doing this before you finish the quest, just so you don't have to make an extra trip back, because it can get annoying. So when you're there, at the end of the quest, you have to basically rebuild this poor woman's tomb, and you have to put her body parts in the coffin. Now get that all done straight away so you don't have to make another trip. Alright, I've put together a list of all the skill requirements you will need to complete the quest for Turmoil. Obviously you would have some of the requirements already by doing all the previous quests, so feel free to knock them off when you're ready, and have them all written down again, and just tick them off or delete it whenever you finish one. Alright, so it wouldn't really be a complete guide if I didn't show a couple training methods. My two favorite training methods would be the armored zombies. Now, I know a lot of people know how to get to these, but I'm going to show the people who don't a real quick demonstration. Alright, here you can see a pretty average setup. You got your Proselyte on, a Salve Amulet E, which makes you hit higher on Undead, which is the zombies, and you can get that from doing the Haunted Mine quest and then completing the Tarn's Lair mini quest. Your general inventory will just be a full inventory of combat potions or super attack and strength. A prayer potion, it really isn't needed because there is an altar at the place I'm taking you to, and a few charm placeholders if you're looking to collect charm, and you probably realize that I have a Holy Wrench in my inventory which you got from Rum Deal quest, but it really isn't needed because all it does is heal a couple extra prayer points if you use an actual prayer pot, and you're not even using a prayer pot at the armored zombies, you're actually using an altar, so I bring that without knowing, so don't worry about that. So once you're there, just make sure again that you have your quick prayers set to Soul Split, Turmoil, and Berserk. Berserk making your boosted stats last 15% longer, which is really nice. It helps you AFK a lot more and not have to drink so many potions. So once you're here, they basically just attack you, you keep Soul Split on, you heal constantly, and the Proselyte will keep your prayer up for as long as possible. So it's quite AFKable, and you can get your training done really quickly because you hit really constant on them, and it's not too difficult to find a free world, so not that you need a free world, it just makes it a lot more quicker. You could probably get 60 to 90k experience here an hour, if anyone was wondering. My second and favourite way of training is the Warriors Guild, and you're going to have to get used to this place because you're going to die quite a lot, and you're going to need to come back here and get your Rune Defenders, so make yourself at home. As you can see, I'm on my Berserker right now, and you may be wondering how I have all those defensive tokens when I'm an account where I can't train defense at all. I actually trained from 43 to 45 defense using the defensive token activity, so I gained as much defensive as possible, so I could use multiple tokens and use that to my advantage, so I could get as much defenders as possible for PKing before I actually started. So I advise if anyone's going to make a Berserker pure, I would advise if you have any excess XP that you have to train, do it in the Warriors Guild so you can get that defensive tokens. So it'll help out a lot, trust me. Alright, that really brings me to the end of this guide. I really hope it helped you. I really hope it answered a lot of you guys' questions, because I go onto a lot of videos nowadays and I see the top comment being, can you please give me a guide on all the quests, all the stat requirements, stuff like that. So there you go. I don't know how more in depth I could have gone, but if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments or send me a private message to youtube.com/Mr. Aus LTD. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!